panelists, we have Kevin McGee, who is the founder of Avid Entrepreneurship, Dale Phillips, who is the Director of Human Services at the DeKalb County Government, Melissa Foyles, who is the Corporate Director of Engagement and Compliance at the Sedelius Group, and Jasmine Ponder, who is an Agnes Scott student now, and she is going to graduate in 2017. And thank you for coming and doing this for us, and let's get started. So for the employers, can you please tell us a little bit about your organization and how you typically use interns? And for Jasmine, would you tell us a little bit about your experience? You can start with Kevin.
So Avid Entrepreneurship, we are a small business consulting firm. We focus on working with first-generation entrepreneurs, and we help them build better businesses. And so typically when we have interns that come to work with us in the past, they're usually in the areas of economics, finance. We do a lot of work with smaller communities and smaller entrepreneurs, so a lot of our work revolves around some statistics, gathering information and data in terms of demographic information about various neighborhoods, about various entrepreneurs. We also have had interns in the past that do websites, social media, marketing, branding. So really we've used interns pretty much across the gamut in our organization, and have really found it to be a very, very, very worthwhile and rewarding experience, particularly with Agnes Scott students.
Dale Phillips. I work with DeKalb County. I've worked with DeKalb County for 19 years, and we are a local government. We are your local government. We are a billion-dollar corporation. People don't think about that when they think about their local government, but we have a $400 million operating budget, and DeKalb County builds a lot of things. It builds water supply plants, animal shelters, so our capital budget is even larger than our operating budget. It's about $600 million. So we look for interns of all stripes. I was speaking with Tamika earlier and some people earlier. The county has to be run more and more like a business. I mean, it sounds bad to say that because some businesses run themselves into the ground. That's why they have people like Kevin to help them. So, but we serve people. I was telling Emily earlier, in my role as Human Services Director, one of the things we do is work with the women's shelters, the Rape Crisis Center. But now citizens are asking, well, DeKalb, what are we getting for our money? How do we measure the effectiveness of what we're trying to do? So we're looking for interns who are more analytical. That doesn't mean you have to be in one of the hard sciences, but we are looking for people who will help us measure our effectiveness because citizens are asking for return on investment. Are the dollars that we're paying for sanitation being used in a worthwhile manner, or should we privatize that operation? So you're hearing a lot of things about outsourcing at our level. So economics, finance, but all stripes. I'm a liberal arts major and have been with the county and been in a number of different positions, but I started in budget and finance, and so that's what we're looking for. I'll turn it over to Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa Foyles. I'm with the Sedelius Group. We are a background screening company. We conduct employment and tenant background screening, also administer drug testing. Just now have added on psychological testing as well. We are a small company, one that kind of, I guess what Kevin would be familiar with. We have been in business since 2012. I came from the largest background screening provider in the world and came to Sedelius because of the ability to have that personalized customer service and support. I come from also a liberal arts degree here at Agnes Scott in religious studies and political science. So I think I'm, as the corporate director, being able to move up into this position, an example of any degree that you have, especially with the depth that's given with liberal arts. We have a great appreciation for the liberal arts degrees. We've had some very successful interns come through over our past summer that were from economics and business, but we welcome interns from all arenas, because with background screening and with everything that's involved, it kind of takes from a lot of different areas. So we are looking for just dedicated and organized individuals who are interested in learning how to see a company grow from the inside out as a small company.
So this spring, I have the pleasure of being an intern with DeKalb County Government's Finance Department, and thus far it's been a really great experience. I'll definitely say that it's not a typical internship where you go in and you know what you're going to do every day. The schedule always changes. I have an organizer and I have a plan, like, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to get this meeting done, and I'm going to get this task accomplished. And then as soon as you go in, everything is changing. Schedules change, your tasks change, the project changes depending on the needs of the department. And so thus far, I've been working on about 3 projects, and one most recently that I'm working on is incorporating E911 vendors like telephone companies who provide 911 service to county citizens to register them on ACH debit, since they are now making payments by phone and check. So I'm just trying to modernize the payment process.
Thank you. And for the employers, what type of things impressed you about an intern candidate, either on the resume during the interview or on the job? Start with Kevin.
I think, in terms of a resume, really, the first thing I look at is obviously just the format and how well it looks. I think, obviously highlighting really what you're passionate about and what you want to do. I'm not as much concerned about the classes that you took, the specifics. Really, just I want to know more about you as a person. Because a lot of times the things that we need you to do, we can show you how to do those things. We can train you how to do those things. Secondly, in terms of an interview, the biggest thing that impresses me is showing up. Right? That's the first one. And showing up on time. I think, that's a big indicator of what type of intern, or employee you're going to be, is if you're able to get there on time and you can kind of know, a little bit about the company. Also, equally impressed when people have done some research and went online, went on the internet, checked out the website, checked out some of the projects that we worked on. And those are probably the top 2 things that really impress us when we have a candidate that comes in for internships.
Yeah, I would echo everything Kevin said. I think definitely having done some background yourself on the company you're applying with, that definitely stands out. I think in the interview, definitely showing a project or opportunity where you had to work in a collaborative environment and come up with a result. And because a lot of the work that you'll be doing is in a collaboration with other people, so showing how you can work collaboratively would be helpful.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of your comments, I would say also being able to show not just that you've been a part of 15 different organizations, showing where you've had leadership roles, being able to speak to that, being able to speak to projects that you've been able to take on and bring forward, and to, again, that measurable aspect. A lot of times we put in kind of what we do, but not with numbers or metrics, and now it's becoming much more important to be able to speak to what contribution, what you left behind, with what you've done.
And on that note, what would you say would hurt a candidate for the resume or on the job or anything else?
Not being truthful. That would be one. If making sure your references are good, because we do call, and if we call, we want them to sing your praises. So I would have good references. We look at your GPA, but it's not. I mean, I think you think it's more critical than it is. I mean, we don't want a 2.0, but we don't. It's not a. That's not the biggest thing. Nobody's going to ask you really to. You're not going to take a test. So just be truthful, be honest, be open. We know you don't, like Kevin said earlier, we can teach you how to do certain things, so.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think, again, back to being parts of organization, we had an intern who, or during our interview, had put down the project that she had done back in the 8th grade, and forgot about it and couldn't speak to it anymore. Things like that, if it's not relevant or if you're not passionate about it, don't include it if you can't really speak to it. Again, in what Dale was talking about, the references, make sure to tell your references if people are going to be calling them. You can even let them know what you'd like for them to say. That's fine. But to have a reference that you call that has no idea that you're going to be calling, that's not good. That's not a good look.
Yeah, and I would agree with all those. Same thing, in terms of being truthful, in terms of specifically with applications, so any sort of, Microsoft applications, technological applications, if you say that you're proficient, we sort of expect you to be proficient and not have to sort of teach you how to do formulas in Excel, things like that. So really being truthful about that, as well as, really kind of giving more insight, on yourself. I think, per Dale's comments, I don't ever recall even really looking at, the GPA or that even kind of weighing into the decision. It's really more about, what you've done, your experiences. If you seem like an interesting, individual that could add something positive, to our environment, those are things that we, definitely look for.
So if the student gets the internship, what would you suggest they not do while they have the internship or during the internship?
Oh, wow. Mess up. I think, the thing that I would say is I think sometimes some students, we obviously take the internship seriously, but I think sometimes students maybe take it a little more seriously, meaning that, we recognize that you're there to kind of learn and experience, and you may make some mistakes. And I think, those are very well. So I think being a little more relaxed about coming into a work environment, I think is really well. I think we kind of pride ourselves on having kind of fun internships. We go out for pizza and ice cream and yoga and that kind of stuff. We really try to help build a more realistic culture. So not a lot of, making copies and things like that, but, really making sure that the student has a good experience. And one of the things that I always stress is that, Jakibi was an intern and she kind of tested this, but I always ask every intern, what is it that you want to get out of this experience, and what is it that you want, so that I can help you get, some of the things that you want, because my philosophy is, regardless of whether you, at the end of the day, like working with our company, my goal is to really help you become a better person, a better professional, and that, I think, in the long run, helps us out, a lot more. So we're really more concerned about helping develop you as an individual, as a person, as opposed to always thinking about what you're going to directly contribute, to our organization.
Yeah, I think Kevin's exactly right. I'll come to that in 1 second. I want to go back to GPA just for 1 second. I don't mean to downplay that. Okay. So if, please highlight it, definitely. And if things all being equal, if it's you and one other person and you're exactly the same, yeah, that GPA may put you over. So please don't go away saying, he said GPA doesn't really matter. That's not what I'm saying at all. So it's very important, and you should do as best as you can. Kevin's right in terms of saying the days of your internship where you just come and make Xerox copies, if you're in that type of internship, you should quit. Don't take it. And that's at the county or anywhere else. You need to make it to get something out of it at the end of that time frame. What Jasmine is doing is really important, because DeKalb is so antiquated in so many ways of paying. We're still writing paper checks to vendors when we should be paying them on this. And so she's helping us get to put electronic records in place so we can do that. DeKalb is horrible in paying. If you're when you have your business that Kevin helps you start, and you work for DeKalb and you give us a bill and 90 days later you still haven't gotten paid, that's a problem. So Jasmine's helping us do that. So when you start your internship, tell them, hey, this is what I'd like to do. But do it in a way that doesn't make us feel stupid. Okay? We know you know how to use these things better than us, okay? But help us understand why what you're bringing to the table is going to help us. An intern I had, the captain recommended in her prior life, I knew right away that she had the data and analytical skills that would help us, but she did it in a way where she didn't make us old folks feel stupid. So just put it in a way that be tactful when you're, unlike my kids who, anyway, you know what I mean.
Well, back to what Kevin said, not to mess up, I'm going to say that tongue in cheeks, not afraid to ask questions. So don't keep away from asking questions. Make sure to engage. Don't sit there and die silently. That is why you're here at the internship. If you have a question, asking those questions, it's perfectly acceptable. It's expected. It's appreciated. So, that would be one of the things is if you are feeling like you're not getting what you need after you've had that conversation as to what you're looking for, or even if you're in the middle of the internship and you didn't have that conversation initially, come to the people that you're working for and let them know where you're at, what's lacking or what you need, because in the end of the internship, you want to be able to gain some knowledge, some skills, and that would be a big way to help yourself. So I would just say, don't die silently. Reach out for help.
Thank you. So how can a student go above and beyond an intern? What do they expect
I think kind of what Dale touched on earlier is, if you see that there's a way to do something better, let us know. If there's, if there are processes or applications, I think on a number of occasions, we've asked interns to do different projects, and they said, well, hey, why are you doing it like this? You can use, Google Docs, you can use, Dropbox, you can use whatever application that you're using. So I think, don't underestimate, what you know. Right, so even though you're a student in your internship, you still have a wealth of knowledge, kind of as millennials that, the current workplace doesn't really have. So a lot of things that you think are sort of commonplace in terms of, like I said again, Google Docs, Dropbox, any other kind of application. Those are ways that you can really kind of distinguish yourself, I think, from other individuals if you kind of bring something to the table that makes the job easier, better, more simple. So that would be what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely right. Again, you all are much smarter than we were at the same age, and you know a lot more, and you bring a lot of skills to the table, and so it's just important that you can show that and let people know, and also understand you can present something, and the answer still may be no, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't present it. I mean, if you're working in a good internship, if it's a good internship, the people will respect the knowledge that you're bringing to the table.
I agree with that, and I think that part of bringing those solutions, or it's kind of like you see need, fill a need, having a business case. I mean, create a reason why you're bringing it forward, making it more than just a, hey, you should do this. Explain it in a way that makes sense to everyone, so that you can get your point across.
I'm sure Kevin gives advice to people who come to him, and sometimes they take it and sometimes they don't. And later on they may say, I probably should have done what Kevin said. So a lot of times people, you may have the best idea in the world, but they just may not want to take it.
Robert Jasmine, have you completed internships at both nonprofit and for-profit organizations?
Well, I've worked at a nonprofit, which I work currently in conjunction with DeKalb County. I work at All About Developmental Disabilities, helping individuals and their families achieve normal lives and such. And in DeKalb County, the only difference that I can see in experiences would be the work environment. That's the only difference, because you still get the same work feel at both sites, but I just think the environment is the same. And with the nonprofit that I work for, it's very small, and DeKalb County is really big. I've been there since January and I still haven't met everyone in the department.
Okay, so in what ways did you feel you were prepared for your internships, and how did you feel you weren't prepared, and what did you learn while you were there?
So I had my first internship my senior year summer out of high school. So that I kind of got my feet wet a bit earlier than everyone else has as far as interning. And I kind of felt prepared with that experience and just everything that I've learned at Agnes Scott so far. But I also felt unprepared because no matter how prepared you feel going into a job, you still don't know how to do the job before you get there. So it's just a learning experience with each position that I've had and trying to learn as I go and be teachable.
Okay, thank you. And for the employers, how valuable do you feel internships are in an organization's hiring process?
Right, we'll start with it. No, I think it's very valuable. I do, I'm always very honest, with our interns at the beginning, and then sort of let them know that, this may not lead to, a hire, and it may not likely lead to a hire, which is again why I sort of emphasize, make sure you let me know exactly what it is you need to get, out of the situation, even if it's, we have a lot of relationships with different business people and different entities. And so even if we have an intern who is not necessarily interested in, say, going into entrepreneurship or coaching, maybe they're interested in economics or finance or accounting, I'll say, well, let me know, do you want to meet accountants? Do you want to meet, financial advisors? And I make sure that they can meet different people in the fields that they want to go in. Because at the end of the internship, I really want to make sure that they're able to do the things that they want to do. I also make sure that all of our interns participate in different activities. If there's something that you like specifically, again, let's use an accounting example, and maybe there's a convention on accounting, in Atlanta, we'll pay, to send the interns to different events, conventions, just so that you can, again, get whatever it is that you need to be more successful. I can say that, we've had a lot of interns over the last couple of years, and I still have pretty good relationships with most of them, and I can call them and ask them, can you assist with this and can you assist with that? And that's really because, again, I try to make sure that whatever I can do or we can do to kind of help them, that's what we do, whether it's in our best interest or not.
An internship doesn't always lead to full employment. It certainly is an advantage, but it's not a guarantee. But it's certainly helpful, and I think will help you wherever you go. The intern we had, she was a Georgia State person. It was not open to Agnes Scott at that time, so it is now. But she's gone on to, she's now working for a Fortune 500 company, Caterpillar, and she took the data set that she was using working for DeKalb, which is, we're not very sexy, we're not Google, we're not Amazon, but she was able to parlay that into something larger. So, and I wish she were still here. So, but now that we have a pipeline to Agnes Scott, we'll find a Scotty for that. So.
Well, as far as for that hiring process, again, I would echo that we even explicitly say from the beginning that does not necessarily lead to a job. However, from our internship experience we had over our past summer, would have done anything to keep on the interns that we had. Just couldn't at that time. But I think that it not only helps us as a company to get that fresh insight, but for the intern to, once you've gotten in the door, now you can really get that experience to be that much more confident or that much more knowledgeable in your next interview or your next stage, because you've already gotten that under your belt. So I think that all the way around it helps the companies in seeing how to attract new talent, and also for the interns and feeling more confident as they move on to their next job and opportunity.
And this is for the whole panel. If, there are a lot of students who aren't ready for internships but really want to have one in the future. What are some suggestions on skills they could build or anything else they could try to learn or get their hands on before they start interviewing? Want to start that up?
Yeah. Okay, I will start. I would definitely say learn software. Software is so important. utilize Linda. Please utilize your Linda account. Learn Excel, learn software that's used in the field that you want to go in. Learn things. That Linda has by far been the most important thing because I learn Excel on the weekends due to Linda. And SQL and anything else that I feel like is necessary in going into finances. That's what I like to do. So my advice would be to first and foremost learn software because they will ask you about it.
I would definitely agree with that. Simple things with Excel and Word, knowing how to use those spreadsheets. I mean, I've heard that Microsoft Office is on its way out, but in every organization I've been in, it's been extremely important. So if you can come in just with those basic skill set, that is very important because that's going to serve you anywhere you go.
I would agree. Learn as much as you can. It will definitely give you a leg up.
Yeah, I piggyback specifically on the Excel piece. Everything we do is pretty much in Excel, even in terms of, any sort of list or project tracking or anything. Everything is, Excel-based, even with, the Google Docs. So Excel and being very familiar with that and comfortable with that is very important.
But our last question would pretty much be, do you guys have any advice for the students here regarding working and getting an internship for a for-profit organization you want into?
So my advice to people who currently have internships would be I would definitely say making a good impression with your supervisor is very important. That connection is vital. In addition to seeking feedback, I think that's very important as well because you want to know that you've been making progress since you've been there and making sure that you do, leave a footprint and making sure that you make your presence known while you were there. And for people who are looking for internships, I would say don't let inexperience stop you even if you feel like you aren't qualified. Always take the risk. Don't listen to the what if. Always take the risk.
I think that one of the things, especially one of the things we do with our company, our internship program was designed to have weekly feedback and to really try to build that communication on not just a casual level, but also to make it a little bit more defined. But to really make sure you are communicating what you need, what you're looking for. If you want to learn something more, your internship is about you, and it is about your success. And that is why as companies, we know that you're not going to come in being able to save the world or save the company. We're here to help you to develop and also, to see what you have to bring to our company as well. But it really is, just remember, you're important, what your voice, what you want to say, bring that in and make sure that if you have a specific need or something you want to bring forward to the company, let your company know.
Yeah, I would just echo that, what Melissa said, in terms of you can create a project that will align with what your employer is looking for. You want to leave with a footprint that you've done something, but in discussion with your employer, there's probably something that they have on the table that will fit within your time frame that you can accomplish. So let them know the parameters of, don't say, well, I'm going to take an hour, Instagram break every day. That's not what I'm saying, but set the parameters for what, you can set a project parameter, and I'm sure it will fit in with what they want, because they want to be able to have something when you leave, they want to be able to have something tangible that they can hold on to when you're gone.
Yeah, I think everything they said. The only thing I would add is, be a lot more deliberate and aggressive about, your internship opportunity before you, begin, and really think about, what are the things that you want to get from that opportunity? If that's, like he said earlier, maybe a data set that you can use somewhere else, if that's, a portfolio of web designs or graphic designs or what have you. Because when we're looking for interns, we know what we're looking for. We're looking to have somebody do a website or do some research and do some demographic research. And so I think, it's really important that you really identify exactly what it is you want to get out of that experience and really be selfish in that regard so that you can make sure that you're benefiting from that experience and that you don't get, to the end of that experience and you don't really have anything other than you've done, a few tasks or a few projects or things like that. So.
Thank you.
So I know that we're going to go ahead and start to open it up for questions. I know it wrapped up a little bit early, but I know that Dale has to leave in a few minutes. So he did leave some of his cards. So if you do have questions and want to learn more about internships with DeKalb County government, you can just stop by and grab one of his cards on the way out. So we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. And as you're asking your question, as you can see, it's a little bit loud next door. So as you're asking your questions, just kind of speak up a little bit so that the panel will be able to hear you. So I'll go ahead and open it up. Does anyone have any questions?
I know you guys said that my generation is very tech savvy and knows about technology a lot. Is there anything that we should kind of keep old school and not try to is there anything that we should already know versus, technology, that's the only thing you can bring to the table?
I think that Microsoft Office, making sure, back to that, because that is kind of considered old school now, but knowing how to use Outlook and to create meetings and using the calendar, those are definitely skills that you would want to make sure is a foundation for your technology, that you have that.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree because it's still in pretty much every organization. But there are skills in applications that we just don't know about. And I think Kevin talked about it, the way to use Dropbox or Google Docs or whatever, in a way that if you can present it to us that, hey, I think we could be more efficient by doing it this way or using this application, I think that would be great. There's an application called Slack that I'm trying to get folks to use a little bit, but it's been slow. But it's, it's people need to see it in operation. So, I think your generation is very smart and very tech savvy, and we have a lot to learn. But if you come in and you're sitting in a meeting with your boss just waiting for, this, that's, I think, where you kind of need to keep it old school, because I know that, I'm guilty of it too, and I'm checking emails and doing all kinds of things, and I know that I can be more efficient, but I know some people still have a very old school kind of mentality about, that.
Yeah, I would just say interpersonal skills and communication, so just making sure that, you take the opportunity to actually talk to whomever you're working with, when you go into the situations. I think, that's one area some interns don't really take advantage of, in addition to, learning about a particular, trade or career or profession. I always try to share insight about myself and what I did when I was, looking for a job or at that particular age, because I think, that's real relevant, as well in terms of just, how do you want to kind of, conduct yourself as a young professional and things like that. And like I said, again, we make sure that, we'll take you to networking events and things like that so that you can understand and know how to, work the room and talk to people and those types of things. But I would say that would probably be the most school.
In part because we've done the same thing. We've done internships, so we've been in your position. We know what it's like, and we want to make sure that you're getting a benefit from it. If you take something away from it.